you're talking to a guy who had his gun in his mouth and my finger on the trigger, trying to find a reason not to.
Yeah.
And once I got balanced out, once core helped me not only get back to normal, but then actually be the best version of me that I could be. What a physical and mental just breakthrough, man. And my life, if there was a graph, brother, from where I was going to once I got to core to what has been since then, man, it is just down and up, brother.
All right, as you guys, we are here at the Core Medical Military Appreciation Weekend, and we're surrounded by some just amazing people, warriors, leaders, those who've dedicated their lives to things that are bigger than themselves. And but beyond the uniforms, the accolades, and the stories people think they know, there's the reality of what it takes to keep pushing forward. And nobody knows that better than my man Lou Veloze, who've been in some crazy situations. And before we get into the else, I want to ask you some of the hardest things you've learned in your life. What is the hardest lesson life has ever forced you to learn?
It was definitely one that knocked me down, totally knocked me down and took me. I had built up this persona and I had built up, this image, living in the undercover world. And I was actually believing my own hype. And I had kind of let fall by the wayside my family, my friends, my faith, the things that should really matter. And when I made some serious mistakes and pretty much my profession was taken away from me overnight. Mm-hmm. I learned the lesson that if you don't keep your priorities, right? If you don't have a list of priorities and you don't live by that and keep it, the people that are around you, the people that are there when you come home at night, if you're taking them for granted, which I was,
yeah,
that, when that all-important mission all of a sudden is taken from you and it goes away, you have nothing. I woke up one morning and I had nothing. I had betrayed my wife. I certainly wasn't getting any Father of the Year awards. Hadn't reached out to my friends in years and years. Because I was this hotshot undercover agent, and I was running all over the country, doing what I thought was the Lord's work and the most important, thing in my life. It became, that got taken away from me overnight, and I woke up and I had nothing. I had nothing meaningful in my life. That was a hard lesson right there.
And you weren't a young man when this happened.
I was not a young man. I was 48 years old, and at 48, I had to rebuild my life, my priorities. I had to regain the trust of my wife, rebuild a relationship with my kids, reconnect with my friends. And as you know, you can't do that with words. You have to do that with actions, and actions
Amen.
over time. It doesn't happen overnight. So there I was, and I didn't just eat a slice of humble pie. I ate the whole pie. And you know how it is. You were a top level operator, and that can go to your head,
mm-hmm.
right?
Of course.
And you can, even though it's the mission is a right and just mission, but you become consumed with it, and you start kind of believing yourself. People are telling you, man, this is great, you did a great job, and you're like, yeah, man, this is what I was born to do, this is my life, and then you start taking everything around you for granted, and when you do that, you lose your priorities, and you realize, man, maybe I should not have totally immersed myself in my profession and my career and
your identity around everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when that gets stripped from you, what do you have?
Then who are you?
Yeah.
So, what's one moment in your life where you thought this might break me, and how did you push through it?
Betrayal. So the life of an undercover agent is to befriend people, right? And these people are doing bad things, but they're people, right? So your job is to befriend them, to gain their trust, with the ultimate goal of betraying them. And what that means, when I betrayed people, was that they were going to be stripped of their freedom, right? That's the worst thing you can do to someone, is rob them of their freedom. To put them in a cell for 30 years, that was the end result of the betrayal that I did over and over. And so that all kind of built up. You try not to think about it, but it's always in there. You justify it by saying, hey, man, they're doing bad things. Well, it came to a point in my career where, I betrayed this guy who I actually hired him to work in one of my fake businesses, and not expecting it to last long. He was there for 8 months, every day, a bad guy, working with me and my undercover crew. And he became part of our team. It sounds weird. He was helping us with deals, helping us negotiate prices, actually bringing in some of his criminal associates, for us to deal with, they're all going to prison after this is over. So when we arrested him, when the team, the SRT, the SWAT team arrested him, they decided to do it a day before the takedown of everyone else because he was, different situation. They put him in the same, not thinking about it, the same jail where all the other defendants came the next day. So they've all seen this guy with us, part of our team, every day. So what are they going to think? Obviously, he's a snitch once they find out we were all undercovers. So that night, he made kind of ropes out of his bedding and, wrapped it around his neck and tried to hang himself. Luckily, the guards were able to come in and get him before he expired. And that, when I heard that, that was when the betrayal started. I started to sour on what I was doing, even though it was for the right reasons. I couldn't bring myself to look him in the eyes in court. And that was the first time that ever happened. When he went to court, I actually went up on the stand to try and get him a reduction in sentence for all the cooperation he had given us. And this old federal Georgia judge said, he wasn't helping you because you're law enforcement. He was helping you because he thought you were a thug just like he is. 20 years. And I could not look this man in the eyes. And that betrayal right there, because it had come to a point where he would have jumped in front of a bullet for me. There's no question. And that's when I really started having trouble accepting this whole befriend and betray thing. And that's when it kind of started changing for me. And I said, maybe I ought to slow down and, kind of get out of this, go into supervision, do something different. But
because how long did you do undercover work?
20 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Which is way too long.
Too long.
Nobody smart does it that long.
Yeah. And this is great. When we talk about leadership and resilience, but what's something about the weight of responsibility that people don't understand?
So, leadership, I learned as I went through my career that you can't have a successful unit, a successful group without a great leader. I didn't really understand that when I first got on the job. I didn't get that concept until I got one of the greatest supervisors I've ever had. He was a West Pointer. He was all about leadership, and he came in and his motto basically was, hey, I'm not the guy who's going to tell you to go, charge that hill, and rah, rah. He goes, I'm the guy, I'm going to pick up my rifle and say, follow me as I charge that hill, because I'm going first. Mm-hmm. And that's when I started to understand how important, leadership is, because without it, you can have great members of your team and doing great things on their own, but that doesn't necessarily help the unit achieve its goals unless you have that leader who is there, who is not only picking you up when you fall down, but he's also the one who is like putting you on his shoulders when you have a success, man. He makes that feeling, that team feeling, which is the only way really. No one can do it on their own.
Yeah.
So for that group to succeed, whatever unit, if it's a military unit, if it's a law enforcement unit, a fire brigade, you're not achieving your mission without a great leader. And he's got to put everything on his shoulders, his or her shoulders, and carry everyone. And that's what makes a team succeed. The individual can't make the team succeed on their own, man. It takes a leader. And it took me about 10 years. I was kind of anti-leader, anti-establishment a little bit.
Because you were an individual undercover.
Yeah. I'll do it. I'll do this on my own. Until I had a great supervisor who kind of showed me that, you know, and I really appreciated it. And it makes your job easier when you have a great leader. Tell me what to do, point me in the direction, you know, whatever I can do to help the team, you just tell me what to do, man, you know, and it made me feel like more of a part of a unit, man, when I had a great leader.
Yeah. For those that are out there struggling, whether it's physically, mentally, or spiritually, what's one truth you wish that every man understood?
The biggest message that I can pass on is everyone needs to look who is around you when you come home at night, right? When you're doing your job, whatever it is you do, who's there when you come home at night, right? Who are the people around? Who's calling you, you know, during the day just to say hi and you know, health and welfare check? Those are the people we tend to take for granted. Those are the most important. Those are the people who are going to be there on your deathbed, right? Standing by you.
Yeah.
The government, your unit, they're not going to be there.
Not going to be there.
The people around you, I took the people around me for granted. It was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. Now I appreciate the people around me so much because that's who's going to be there in the end, man. You know, don't take people for granted. Don't take the people around you for granted. We all do it.
Yeah.
But don't do it, man.
You know, obviously coming into Core Medical Group, obviously there's a testosterone epidemic. There's a testosterone epidemic in the nation for a lot of different reasons. And you can be as disciplined as hell, but if your body is working against you, you're fighting an uphill battle. For yourself and leaving the ATF, coming out of that undercover world, high stress, losing everything, having to rebuild from nothing. What's from your personal journey with optimizing your health? Have you ever dealt with feeling off but not knowing why?
All right. My career, to say it ended in a train wreck is an understatement. So
Okay.
I was in the red for about 2 years while I was under investigation. You know, if I was a car, I was running at about 8,000 RPMs for 2 years.
Yeah.
Which, you know, after a while, you know, there's no doubt that was going to shorten my lifespan. You can't operate in the red. Right, you know, you got to idle down at some point, and I couldn't. When I got out of that and I started to try and rebuild my life, I was a mental and physical wreck. I didn't even know how bad I was until I saw the blood work from Core, and everything was out of whack.
Yeah,
I mean, everything was.
How old were you at that time?
I was 50.
50 years old.
I was 50 years old. And, you know, when I saw this, and as you look down the chart and you see that range in everything of where you're supposed to be, and I saw how many places I was out of
high
that
or
range,
low, or
like that gave me even more stress and anxiety when I saw that report. And then, you know, when I sat down with Core, you know, and the PA explained to me, listen, here's what we recommend. Let's get you back to normal first. Let's start there and get you back to normal, and then let's optimize you.
Yeah.
And we have talked about this before. When I was in the red and I was in my blood work, my hormones, everything was so off. I had retired. I was unemployed. I was unmotivated. I didn't know what to do. Every day I woke up, I didn't know what to do with myself. No direction. As soon as I got introduced to Core and I started getting everything normalized and started getting all my numbers back, like we've talked about before, I found my direction. And
everything comes real clear, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And miraculously, as I found my direction, I started earning an income. And I started making money. And I found my motivation. I found my desire. and it made my this difficult journey I had of regaining my wife's trust, my kids' trust, my friends' trust. It made it so much easier because now I was on course, man. And just a total 180. Because you're talking to a guy who had his gun in his mouth and my finger on the trigger, trying to find a reason not to.
Yeah.
And once I got balanced out, once core helped me not only get back to normal, but then actually be the best version of me that I could be. What a physical and mental just breakthrough, man. And my life, if there was a graph, brother, from where I was going to once I got to core to what has been since then, man, it is just down and up, brother.
So testosterone decline as you age is a real thing. It's a real issue. What do you think men need to hear that they're more of, that they're not hearing enough?
Here's what I think a lot of us don't realize. Our testosterone is declining way faster than our father's was. Mm-hmm. And it is external factors that we can't control. Everything, the processed food, the plastics, the heavy metals, all this. These are things you can't control that are making men's testosterone levels go down.
Right. It's a real thing.
It's absolutely a real thing. And I can now, I've been with Core for so long now, and I'm sure you're the same way. I can almost look at guys.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this in a mean way. And
right.
I'm like, man, that guy right there needs to get his blood work. And check, because
you can tell
there's no way he's over 200 right in testosterone. So when I got mine checked and it was low, I was like, man, I work out, not the healthiest eater, but I'm doing most things right. How the hell? But it is factors that we can't control, and that's what a lot of guys don't realize. It's not your fault, it's our environment. Everything is different from when I think it probably started with the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah. And
it's just gotten so much worse. So you got to get checked. There's nothing you can do about these external factors. The one thing you can do is get your blood work.
Have the knowledge of where you're at.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Get that blood work done, and it will give you the answers you're looking for.
So, how old are you now?
I'm 56.
56. Damn, Lou, you look good for 56.
Core. It's been 6 years with Core.
Yeah. So, how do you approach training, recovery, and performance now versus when you were active and in the trenches?
So, everything now is different for me. I'm a lot smarter about it now in my old age, than I was.
Smarter, not harder anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It used to be harder, not smarter.
Right. So I didn't appreciate, the idea of rest and recovery, back then when I was running and gunning and all that. So I've now that, my testosterone level is where it should be, and, I'm a lot healthier. I've realized that I don't need the 2-hour, near-death workouts anymore. Right. I want to keep as I get older, I want to keep my bone density. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing really smart, short-term, maybe 45-minute workouts. At 56, I don't need to be deadlifting, 600 pounds, right, and putting all that strain on. So I do very smart workouts now, and then I'll take 48 hours to recover at this point before I work out again. And now that I'm hanging out with all you guys, and you guys are giving me advice, I'm doing cold plunging, something I never would have done. Hardest thing I've ever done in my life, the cold plunges. I go through mental anguish every time I do it to get in that tub. I don't know why it's so hard for me.
It's like mental. It is a mental battle, man.
It's the hardest thing in my life, cold plunging.
Yeah.
So I try to challenge myself. That's the 3 things I hate the most are squats, jiu-jitsu, and cold plunging, in that order. I hate all 3, but I will keep doing all 3 because I truly believe it's keeping me young.
Yeah. That's true. So obviously this event is more than just getting guys together. It's about connecting with individuals that are kind of on the same path, same mission, with the same mindset. What's been your biggest takeaway this year at the event?
So this year, as I I'm down there and I start talking to someone who I don't know.
Yeah.
and you find out this person's background. It's so amazing to me, right? Everyone down there has a story.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. And I keep learning. I'm 56 years old, and I'm learning every time I meet someone down there and talk to them and their background, and they're giving me wisdom and they're giving me knowledge. It's incredible. Obviously, the networking is huge. Mm-hmm. You're making lifelong friends at these events. I just love that every man and woman that I talk to, you know, that I just met, I hadn't met before, has an incredible story. And, you know, I'm making lifelong friends, and I'm gaining knowledge through all of their experience and what they've done. It's just the most incredible people in the world.
When you look around at the men here today, what gives you hope?
I haven't had a lot of hope over the last 4 or 5 years for our country, for personally, for our families,
yeah.
You know, the direction we've been going in. Now I see the people, you know, that we're surrounded by right now mm-hmm. down there, you know, who all have that mindset, you know, and a mission. And it seems like now maybe our leaders are going to push that mission for us mm-hmm. and maybe allow us to do now what should have been allowed to get this country back. And what I see down there is a bunch of pipe hitters who will be the first one to raise their hand to jump in and say, I'll volunteer. I'll do that. So mm-hmm. it's restored. Every time I come to this event, it restores my faith in America and you know, the people that serve. It's just incredible.
That's strong. Yeah. For those who aren't here, what's the one piece of advice you give them to start building their own tribe of high caliber individuals?
If you're not here right now, you know, what I would tell you, and you don't have this incredible opportunity, you know, to start talking to all these amazing people mm-hmm. with all these amazing backgrounds. You know, I would say, first of all, to everyone out there, get your blood work done first and foremost, because it totally changed my life. You know, again, I don't put this out there for drama or anything, but it is the truth. I was suicidal. I had lost reason to live. I had lost my reputation. I had lost almost lost my profession. I had almost lost my family. I was on a bad path until I got my blood work done and got recalibrated. I was going nowhere. It made such a difference in my life, and you have to know where you're at. Get your blood work done, find out where you're at, and then start building from there. That's what I did. I built my tribe once I started rebuilding my life.
Yeah, build yourself. You had to master yourself first.
Absolutely.
Or remaster yourself.
And the way I look at it is I couldn't help the people around me until I helped myself. Like when you're on an airplane and they tell you when the oxygen bag comes down, hook it up to yourself first, and then you can help the person next to you, because you can't help them if you're incapacitated.
Right.
And that's how once I got with CORE, that was my oxygen mask.
Yeah.
Then I started helping the person next to me afterward.
Man, awesome. Thank you for sitting down with me. You got a lot of cool stuff going on, Lou. Where can people find you? Where can they find all that stuff that you have going on with Discovery and everything else?
You know, I'm on Instagram under Lou Veloze. I'm on Facebook under Lou Veloze. I have a show that is streaming right now, my first season on Discovery. You can stream it on HBO Max or Discovery Plus. It's called Operation Undercover. Mm-hmm. Full season 1, 7 episodes. My next project, and we've talked about before, you know, you know, I'm chasing right now. I'm chasing what the best project is for me at this point. And so I've been offered a show over in London, England, and this will be a BBC show where they're going to have 100 contestants, and it's going to be an elimination. These are like MI6 spy undercover wannabes, and I will be the judge, and we're going to whittle them down. The winner wins something like $1 million. Probably going to have trouble being a spy after you've been on TV.
Yeah, but sure.
But that's not my problem. So I'll be over there this summer filming for about 8 weeks or so, and you know, I'm just moving forward, man. All these, you know, doing these shows, these undercover shows with Discovery, and now this one over in England, kind of feels like I'm still in the mix a little bit, you know. So I really enjoy it.
Well, go check out Lou. He's a great human being, man. Great family, great kid. Geez, great kid.
Thanks, brother.
And we look forward to having you on a long form podcast up at the show.
Awesome, man. It's my honor, brother. Yeah. Thank you.